Good evening, everybody. About my spirituality, my Christian spirituality. If I could picture my current situation in this moment, that picture would be the picture by which these videos are represented. This is part 2 of a 4-part introduction. In my last video, in part 1, I explained the reason why I got interested in the Rapture. This was because about 3 years ago I was watching some Rapture forums, especially one by which I got interested in, and by seeing people debating I started myself being interested in the Rapture and learning what this Rapture was. Some were pre-tribs, others were post-tribs. Each were debating among themselves in order who was right and who was wrong, whether the Rapture was a pre-trib Rapture or post-trib Rapture. On that forum I got myself interested in the matter, so after 3 years of research I decided to publish the results of my own research. Now this is one of the reasons why I got interested in the Rapture. There is also another one. A reason by which at first I was not certain whether to tell, but since you will be seeing me for quite a while, because my plan is to post something like over 100 videos on the Rapture, I thought it was important that my viewers would know where I began, the reasons why I began studying the matter. The other reason why I researched on the matter was because 14 years ago I was under a spiritual crisis, a very deep spiritual crisis. Now, without going in the details of that crisis, I saw something. Back in those years, I asked our Lord Jesus Christ some help because I was in deep trouble, and I believe that our Lord actually helped me. Now, I don't want to go exactly in the details of what I asked and what happened later. All I want to say is that about 14 years ago, in some sort of a dream, I was having a lot of them back then. I don't know exactly how to call them exactly. I mean, they weren't actually dreams. They were something else. Not actually visions, but something in between. More like a sort of a lucid dream. But anyway, I saw something back then. Now, by me being Catholic, and just like I have explained in my other video, Catholicism does not recognize a pre-tribulation rapture. Catholicism recognizes a post-tribulation rapture, but not the post-tribulation rapture that the Reformist Church teaches. Something else, a very different rapture. Like I've explained in my earlier video, according to Catholic theology, in end-time prophecy, the book of Revelation is an almost fulfilled book. And the only thing yet left to be fulfilled according to Catholic theology is the second coming of Christ, by which it is explained as a sort of a surprise event. I believe that this is where the confusion is between people who believe that the pre-trib rapture is a Catholic invention. because under Catholicism, there is no pre-trib rapture in Catholicism, and the rapture of Catholicism is a surprise event, but it's on the second coming of Christ, because Catholicism teaches that the book of Revelation is an almost fulfilled book. Therefore, if the Battle of Armageddon was something which already was fulfilled, who knows when, what would remain would be a second coming of Christ seen as a surprise event. This is probably the reason why on YouTube you have these people saying that the pre-trib rapture is a Catholic invention. It is not. Catholicism teaches a post-trib rapture. It is taught as a surprise event. Now, about my situation back then, I was having some dreams, something similar to dreams. I can't actually explain what they were, but they were extremely detailed. And even though these dreams were a long time ago, this one especially about 14 years ago, I still remember it as if I dreamt it 5 minutes ago in every detail. The problem was that what I saw in that dream was nothing that Catholic theology teaches on end-time prophecy. I saw an event, a very mysterious event, by which I also saw a rapture. But the rapture was a sort of a secondary event of this other event. I don't want to explain exactly all the details. I would just say that I saw something which is similar, very similar to what on YouTube certain pastors, evangelical pastors teach. The only problem was that back then I was not reading the Bible, not even one single word, nor a single page. And because of this, I believed also that whatever I saw was probably of demoniac influence, because a person like me would be practically impossible to have seen such an event. A person who was hardly going to church. Prayed, yes, but I wasn't going to church, not every Sunday. And I was not reading the Bible, nor the Gospel. And I was having something very similar to prophetic dreams. And this was one of the problems I was having, all due to a request I made to our Lord Jesus. I don't want to go into the matter of what this request was, but anyway, it lasted about a decade. These supernatural things which were going on in my life, after which I prayed to our Lord to have them all removed. And they were removed. Now, in this sort of a dream vision, I don't know exactly how to call it, I saw something. And when I went to this YouTube forum about 3 years ago and seeing people debating on the rapture, they were debating on things which I already saw, especially among pre-tribs. There were certain things that pre-tribs were teaching that I had already saw. At that point, I decided that maybe if I could have any certainty, if I had any Bible claim, then I would have to look into the Bible. 3 years ago, I decided, I opened the Bible almost for the first time. I was already going inside of it some years ago, but But 3 years ago, I really opened it up. And when instead, in the times when I was under the spiritual crisis, I was not reading it at all. But 3 years ago, I started looking inside really deeply, opening page by page, chapter by chapter, especially Matthew chapter 24 and Luke 21 and Mark 13, the book of Revelations, Thessalonians, Corinthians, Acts of the Apostles, John, etc., etc., and even the Old Testament. I was searching for something. I was searching for something that I had seen. And I believe to have found it. Therefore, whatever I saw back then had some Bible claim. Not all of it. There were certain details of this sort of dream vision which don't have Bible claim, but others instead did. So at this point I asked myself, what did I actually see? Did our Lord Jesus actually showed me something? Well, let me explain a few things. I believe this is only by personal experience, okay? I may be wrong on this, but anyway, but on personal experience, I believe in this, that if a person is appointed a prophet by God or by our Lord, that person, before being a prophet, has to be a saint. I was not anywhere near being a saint, and I was seeing things which a prophet could have seen. So, but I was seeing them differently. There were details which were found in the Bible, others were not. At this point I asked myself that the only possible way to solve this riddle was to do some discernment. I think that's how you pronounce it in English, by which you separate the good from the bad. You take away what is good, what has Bible claim. You take away what is bad, what could be of demonic influence. I took a lot out, because I'm not a saint, of course. I'm a believer, but I'm not a saint. I would never claim to be a saint nor a prophet. It would be ridiculous. But at this point, I did my own research, and I found it by looking into those certain details by which then I found Bible claim. After 3 years of researching, I decided to publish my videos, and by doing so I decided to buy at least 3 chalkboards. The one behind me is the smallest one. There is also another one which is about double the size of this one, and yet another one which is even bigger. And at that point I decided to put my results on my chalkboards. And what came out was a huge quantity of material. By searching into small details, and by searching those details in the Bible, I picked out something very different from what the average pre-trib, mainstream pre-tribulation rapture teaches. So I'm not going to say that I believe that I am right. I believe that what I will put on YouTube and what I will publish is the correct pre-tribulation rapture. But of course, I would never say that others are wrong, okay? There are pastors out there, there are holy men and women out there. I would never compare myself to them. I would never say that I am better than them. Spiritually speaking, I am nowhere near to them. So at this point, I decided to simply publish my own work. It will probably bring discussions. It will probably look controversial. I hope not to offend. I hope not to offend anybody. But most of all, the most important thing of all, I will do no attempt whatsoever to date set the rapture. Though I have an idea, but that's only an idea. And the Bible is not placed on ideas. The Bible is certain. What the Bible teaches is absolute truth, 100%. The Bible does not give dates on the month, day, and hour of the rapture. Probably the month, but not the day and the hour. So I'm not going to do no attempt whatsoever to date set the rapture. Thank you. This was part 2 of a four-part introduction. Within a day or two, I will release part 3, which will be even more interesting. Thank you.